All right, we're back with the Fox News Alert. President Trump is not letting up when it comes to pressure on Iran, issuing a fresh warning to Tehran about compliance. But leadership is trying to walk back a key part of the memo of understanding. Trey Yingst joins us now in Tel Aviv. Trey, what are they walking back?
Yeah, hey, Brian, good morning. The Iranians have put out some new statements about their nuclear program and commitments they made over the weekend. And the president spoke yesterday from the Oval Office, indicating that if Iran doesn't live up to their end of the agreement, he'll do what he has to do. Now, over the next 60 days, they'll be resolving Iran's nuclear program and the issues surrounding it while keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. With the initial agreement in place, millions of barrels of crude oil are leaving the Persian Gulf each day.
We took in more oil yesterday than has ever gone through the Strait. You probably see that we have an oil gusher. The Strait is totally open. You know that, and we're negotiating. We'll see how that all goes. But we have two things: we have an open Strait, and we have a country that will never have a nuclear weapon. Will never, ever have a nuclear weapon.
President Trump also posted to Truth Social overnight saying everybody is fully aware that Iran will agree to have major weapons inspections in order to ensure nuclear honesty long into the future. This came after Vice President Vance announced that Iran had agreed to allow IAEA inspectors into their country. Now, this morning, the Iranians denied this point, saying there were no new commitments reached on the nuclear issue. Despite these comments, the U.S. Treasury on Monday authorized Iranian oil sales, temporarily waiving long-placed sanctions against the Iranian regime.
While the agreement has not been finalized, the sanctions are still in place. So we needed a waiver to be able to sell our oil, do our work with the bank. This needs to be released temporarily until we can remove the sanctions. The work for this waiver has been done.
President Trump just moments ago posted to Truth Social saying 19 million barrels of oil flowed out of the Hormuz Strait yesterday. He goes on to say an all-time record. Oil prices are tumbling down and the world is a much safer place. Brian?
All right, thanks so much, Trey. Appreciate it. Let's bring in Fox News contributor Marc Thiessen joins us now. Mark, just 3 minutes ago, the president posted this on Truth Social. Despite their protestations and to the contrary, coupled with the drumbeat of fake news, which is doing everything possible to make the U.S. victory as small and insignificant as possible. Iran has fully and completely agreed to highest-level nuclear inspections long into the future. This will ensure nuclear honesty. If they did not agree to this, there will be no further negotiations based on this and other major concessions being made by Iran. I have agreed to allow the Hormuz Strait to remain open with no further naval blockade. However, all ships are remaining in place should they have to reinstitute the blockade. And it seems at this point highly unlikely that money and/or sanctions that the U.S. Treasury is releasing goes into escrow, controlled by the U.S., and will be purchased for the used for the purchase of food and medical supplies exclusively for the United States, including corn, wheat, and soybeans from our great American farmers. These are the things that are desperately needed by Iran. This is a humanitarian crisis, and I feel it necessary to help now before it is too late. Talks are going well. Marc Thiessen.
So, first of all, let's keep a few things in mind. For 47 years, Iran has been at war with the United States, and President Trump is the first president to fight back. 4 presidents said that Iran could not have a nuclear weapon. Trump is the only one who did anything about it. And the damage done by Operations Midnight Hammer and Epic Fury are devastating to the Iranian nuclear program. All their nuclear dust is completely buried to the point that they tell U.S. officials, negotiators, that they can't get to it. We would have to actually go in and excavate it. Their centrifuges are broken. Their conversion facilities are destroyed. And their nuclear scientists have been killed. So we have set back their nuclear program dramatically. These are huge gains. The Iranian regime has never been weaker since the 1979 revolution. The challenge facing the president now is how to lock in those gains and make sure they remain weak. And they cannot revive this. And so what the tension he's having is between having a deal, getting a deal that can do that, but also the problem of giving them money that could lift them up off the mat. And that's the tension we're in right now at this moment.
So the frozen funds. I like the idea from last week when Scott Bessent says we're going to use the frozen funds to rebuild our bases that were damaged during the war. I don't know where that statement went. Yeah. I also would like with the frozen, I like the idea of them beginning farm goods, but I have not seen Iran back that up. Yep. And number 3, what I don't like is as of today, they're able to sell their oil by dollars. So they're making billions of dollars by selling their oil for the first time in decades.
Yeah, they should not be able to get any kind of cash without having given some major concessions at the negotiating table in terms of the nuclear program, in terms of turning it over. But another thing that we could use the frozen funds for, the Democrats are refusing to support a Iran supplemental. We're asking, there's an $80 billion Iran supplemental to pay for the war. Why don't we use the frozen funds to pay for that? Let's have the Iranians pay for all the weapons that we use to destroy their nuclear program and repay the United States so that we can restock our stockpiles of weapons. There's also 90 judgments against Iran, totaling $50 billion for acts of terrorism against Americans. Remember, for 47 years they were carrying out terrorist attacks against the American people. Why don't we make the American people whole, the victims of terror whole?
So you think we should be bringing that up right now in the talks?
I think we should just be doing it. You know, that we have control of the frozen funds. What we don't want to do is give the regime a way up off of the mat. We don't want, and you know, what President Trump seems to be doing there in the Truth Social saying is like, look, we're not going to give them money. We're going to buy American goods with them and farm goods and give that to the Iranian people. Okay, that's much better. He understands that we can't have a cash infusion into the Iranian regime.
And the other thing that's got to be clear is Israel is not the problem. Israel is defending themselves. When Iran tells Hezbollah to bomb Israel and Israel reacts, Israel is not the problem.
Yeah, well, he said that in a Truth Social the other day. He said that Iran has to restrain its proxy, Hezbollah, which is causing all the violence.
Right. So, Mark, we'll see what happens. Last question. Do you believe there's a so-called moderate faction with the Iranians, and Halibut represents that? And do you believe it's a different school of thought than the supreme leader? I know a moderate Iranian is
like a moderate Nazi.
True. I mean, having said that, do you think there's a difference?
So Gallup was Soleimani's best friend. They grew up together. They rose up together through the system. Soleimani went into the Quds Force. He went into the parliament. But this is where he comes from. He's a Soleimani
so the answer is no.
ally. No, I don't believe it.
Marc Thiessen, thanks so much. I'll talk to you on radio.
All right.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.